Oh my goodness, look at this swarm. So I'm here to catch this swarm, and I'm gonna videotape it so you all can see it. Okay, this is without a doubt gonna be the world's easiest swarm to catch, but I want you all to get to see how to do it. So that's what we're gonna do. So the first thing that happens when you're going to catch a swarm is that you want to put a sheet under the swarm so that should the queen happen to fall on the ground, you'll be able to see her on the sheet. She won't just be out in the grass and get lost. So the first thing I'm going to do is to put a sheet under this swarm. There's also a huge ant hill right by the steps that I'm on. The second thing I'm going to do is put a box under the swarm to catch the swarm. This is the box. It has a piece of old comb in it to help them feel at home. And more than likely what I'm going to do with this swarm is just cut the branch and drop the whole thing down into the box. So I'm going to start okay, this is just a beautiful swarm. Because of the way it is, I'm hanging it low like this. A little odd because it's on this hill. It's quite a hill, but we're going to do our best. So I'm going to come from this side and try to cut off the ends of these branches with my lopper so that I can drop the whole thing into the So I'm going to drop the whole thing into the box. So now what I'm going to do is just shake the whole thing. I'm not going to try cutting it off. I'm just going to shake it into the box. So you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There they all go. And now we put the top on the box with an opening at the side over here, so that the bees can crawl in. I feel bad I cut the end off of her bush when I didn't need to. Now you can see the function of the sheet. So I believe, let's see if you can see. There are bees that have fallen down here that will make their way up in the box in the end. Because the queen, I'm pretty sure there's no way the queen isn't in there. So what will happen is the bees will start realizing the queen is in there and start crawling up. Now watch this bee. She's crawling up, this one too, because they realize mom is inside and that's where they want to be. If you want to see how they look in the box, I just shook the whole thing in and there they are. One nice thing about collecting swarms is you rarely get stung because the bees are not protecting their home. They're just in the mood to find a place to live and get going. But we have to wait a while to make sure that all the ones that need to go in with mama do go in with mama. So that's what we're going to do. It's not very warm today. It's a very cool Monday morning. But this opening right here will allow the bees to come in once they realize. These down here on the ground are kind of shocked. But they're like, what happened? Their whole world just got flipped from being on the branch to being in this box. And they'll figure it out in a minute, but it takes them a while. It may take a long while for them to decide that they're all going to go. Really, at this point, I could just leave, but I don't want to leave these bees that are down on the ground unclaimed by their mama. And you do rarely get stung, but one bee just crawled up my pants leg and stung me on the knee. Now in a few minutes you'll see more bees doing what this bee has her butt up in the air and that bee has her butt up in the air, and they're doing that to send out a pheromone saying, Mama's in this box, Mama's in this box, come here, instead of up on the branch. And so that's where they're going to be inclined to go, is to go in where their mother is. Now when you catch a swarm, you don't take 100% of the bees, because some bees, it's morning, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning, some bees have already gone out scouting, and those bees will come back to find that their mama's gone, and unfortunately what'll happen is they'll die. See these bees that are circling around? Let me see if you can see these. See, there are a few bees circling around where the branch was, and they probably were out scouting and have come back and are discovering that the cluster is not there. And then they'll start smelling, and the pheromone that these guys are sending up with their butts in the air will tell them, oh, mom's up here. So most swarms are not this easy, where you just jump the branch in and you're done. A lot of times I've collected swarms off of metal chain link fences that are just impossible, because the bees, you can't shake the fence. It's great if you have something like this where the swarm is really, really low to the ground and you can shake it. We often measure swarms in terms of the size of the number of cats that they would equal, and this one looked like it was going to be a 4-cat swarm. But it's actually about what I would call a 1-cat swarm, because it was about the size of 1 cat, which is a great swarm. It's going to be just fine. I'm going to see if I can convince these girls to go into my bucket here and dump them in the box. This hill is kind of funny. So in just a second we're going to call this a day, because we clearly got everybody we were supposed to get. I'm going to give them a little while to decide that the tree is not where they need to be. Give these swirling around ones time to get into the box. Then what we'll do is strap the box up, put it in my car, and go and install it in a beehive. It's a very calm little group. I have to say that I usually don't get stung, and I've gotten stung twice. I got stung on my knee and stung on my finger when I was shaking the branch. Now you never get 100% of the bees in the box, and even going home I'm going to have bees on the top of the box. I'll try not to, but I will have. And that's okay. I have bungee cords that I'm going to use to strap the box. I took most of my bungee cords to the mountains, so I have to jerry-rig this with some bungee cords hooked together. This is such a calm little group, and I'll also take you all with me to the installation of the bees at the beehive they're going into. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day. Sometimes you have to wait an hour, but this is not a wait an hour hive. So I'm going to turn this over and go knock those bees down, put this top down. Actually, I need to put it the other way to keep them in there, and set up my bungee cords. Now, it's no reason that the sheet needs to be an issue, so I'm going to move apparatus over here. I'll set the bungee cords over here. I'll get the box of bees. I'll get the box of bees and I'll tighten this bungee cord around it. That'll be enough to hold it closed while I go. There's still some space they can get out, and they may get out in my car. That sometimes happens, but bees don't bother you while you're driving as long as you're driving. If you stop driving, they can bother you. Here are a few bees that didn't. I'm going to put the sheet over the whole thing and keep those bees on the sheet. Now I'm going to take it to my car, and we're going to head out. And the box is right here on the ground. And the hive we're going to install it in is right over here. This is a hive that died last year after I made a split. It never made a queen, so it petered out and died. So it's got a lot of drawn comb in it. So we're going to take out the middle frames and just set them to the side. But see, it has nice drawn comb. So we're going to set them to the side so that we can put them back in after I dump the bees into the hive. So I'll take out the drawn comb. And what we're doing for these bees is they would have spent the day or several days hanging on that bush that they were on without a place to live. And what we're doing is providing them with a place to live, which is a good thing. I don't have a good shim with me, so I'm going to use a stick to help keep this hive from rocking until I can get back with a good shim, but that'll do. Okay, so now I have an empty space in this hive right here. Now I've removed the sheet from our box. And we're going to dump the bees into the hive. So I undid the bungee cord. There are a few bees sitting on the top. There are a lot of bees hanging from the screen. So I'm going to knock them back down into the box. Or I could just lift them up and take them straight to the hive, but I think I'd rather drop them into the box. Nope, I'm going to drop them into the hive. So I'm going to set this big box here, and I'm going to drop these bees into this hive. And most of them went in. More of them went in. Now there's still a ton of bees in the box, so we want to put them in. Then you set the box out in front of the hive so that the bees can come in where their mama is. I'm going to make a little bit of room here so that they can come in. They are swirling and swirling as they figure out that this is where they're going to live. They were kind of happy and quiet in the car, but now they're not happy and quiet. See these bees with their butts in the air? They're saying, Mama's in here. They're calling to these bees that are flying around. So the bees have been swirling around for a little while, but most of them have figured out where home is. So now I'm going to put the frames in that belong in this box. We'll lift the top off again. Again, I'm going to take these bees and knock them down in here. I'll put these frames in. I'm going to take out this piece of comb that was in the box that I used to bring them in. It smells good to them because it's old comb, but there's also old comb in here. So now we're going to put this back. Move over, girls. Here comes a frame. Here comes a frame. Move over. Good job. This frame has some wax moth damage on it. We're just going to help the bees so they won't have to clean it up. Put that one back in. And here's another one we're going to put back in. All these frames have a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of wax moth damage, and that's okay. The bees will clean it up. Out of the way, girls. There we go. So now we're going to get the bee brush because I want to put another box on this hive. And this is a swarm and it should be ready to go. So I'm going to say, go over this way, girls. Go over this way. I'll put this box on. Okay then, now we're going to put the top on, the inner cover first. And then the top. And this hive should be good to go. And because really there's only one bee left in this box, I'm gonna go get her out and I can take my box home with me. So that is the end of the capture and installation of a swarm.